So before wrapping up this course, I want to go into one final thing. It's groups and pairs. Groups and pairs, when you go in here, right now I have one of my fellow colleagues in here with me, but there will also be panels up here for you, groups. In this case, it's called pair. And here you would be able to actually assign yourself to one pair. You can do this yourself. You can only be two per pair, so you could not be three students. And I don't know, depending on the course, what it's going to be. It's going to be, two in each pair. Maybe someone is alone, and if they're finally alone and there's like all the other pairs are full, they contact me, and we'll take it together to the next to include that person in some additional pair, so we can be three in one or something like that. There's also going to be project groups over here in this course because we have both projects and both pairs and groups. In this course, I designed the groups, and that takes me to the specific of this course. And I leave this at the very end because I don't believe that anything here is going to be applicable to all other course room introductions that I have. It's very, very specific for my courses, responsive web design and the course of web design, which are very similar in some aspects. So let's you just say that for everyone else of you who have taken other courses, I wish you all the best, and you've already taken part of the course room introduction. I think you're ready to follow along in the course room. And I also want to say that there may be changes, but the course structure is going to be similar to the one I explained in this video. And I can say bye to all of you. But for all of you who read web design or responsive web design, I implore you to stay, because now we'll take up a couple of specific things pertaining to these two courses. So let's go to home. Let's go to this one called examination tasks. And first off, you will see that in these courses, this one has a 0.5 credits for web design, for accessibility. In responsive web design, this will not be here. And in fact, all of these four will not be here. They will, the accessibility will be removed entirely, but these things will be instead one large chunk called assignments. And then we'll have the project. The assignments chunk is going to be slightly different in size to the project one. So they have slightly different focus. Most of it is the same, but there's a slightly different, weight at things. So I'm stricter with the components, much stricter with the components when I'm talking about responsive web design, for example, in the project. So it's a 3.5 credits because I expect more work with around that. And then I have no accessibility in the assignments for responsive web design. So therefore, it's only the other ones. They have less than to do in the assignments part. But most of the rest is the same. Now, in both of the courses, this is true. Except that, of course, accessibility in responsive web design won't be a thing. We will only have 9 points in that one. So pairs are created manually by students signing up for a pair themselves. That's what I just talked about in the video about groups and pairs. It's this video actually. So project groups will be formed based on each student's performance in the first 4 tasks. In this case, it's 4 tasks. In responsive web design, it would be 3 tasks. These tasks will be weighted as follows for group selection. So you can see it's 2 points, 3, 4 points, and so forth. this is not credits. This is not, as you can very much see, it is 1 credit down here. That is what you receive is in credits. These are points. So it is just an artificial way for me to calculate the amount of knowledge you have. And I do that on an individual student basis as much as I can. I mean, if I do something in pair, it's going to be harder for me to do. If you do something individually, it's much easier, of course. So, but I'll do it as much as good as possible. And then I take these things and I say, if you graded with a G in this HTML and semantics, you receive 2 points. If you graded with a U or a fail, so forth, in layout techniques with CSS, you also receive 0 points. Accessibility, you receive 1 point if you're G, so maybe you're up to 3. And maybe you pass this one as well, so you get 3 plus 3, you have 6 points. Then, the maximum points could have been, if you had all of them, there could have been 10. But you got 6 in this example. So then I will pair you with other students that also have 6. So I will put up the groups where everyone gets, if you have 6 as a point, you will be with other people which are very close to 6 or have actually 6 points. Why do I do this? It might seem like I'm punishing, but it's not the case, not at all. I've had this course for many, many years, and I've actually done this for many years, and I looked up juridically if I could do this, and I could as well, as long as I'm clear that I'm doing it up front. And what I'm actually doing here is that I'm trying to make sure that I followed the Swedish law in a sense, because I at the end I grade you. I'm your examiner. I pass you on the course. You can go on and say that you did this course and got a grade and you did a good job with it. So to do so, I have all the incentive in the world to put you in a situation where you need to learn. So for example, if you end up, imagine that you have not paid attention or have a really hard time learning. In it, order to, you would need to either pay attention or spend more time. These are the two things you can do. What you should not do is get someone to work with that does all the job for you, because then if you pass the course, I would have it could be hard for me to know whether or not you knew what you knew. So I'm trying to, what you say you know, because someone else did it for you. So when I make the groups, instead of making groups where I have like one really strong and some that are in the middle and some weak, and then I mean weak in knowledge, not weak as a person, making knowledge regarding this course. And that, in that sense, I'm actually trying to instead say, let's put people that have a difficulty understanding this, or they don't have yet a vast amount of knowledge regarding HTML and semantics or any other of these techniques, and let's put them in the group together. Because they cannot turn to and ask each other and say, oh, I get the answer by just asking this guy and he can do it for me. Now they have to look it up. They have to learn. They have to practice. Because that's the only way they can pass. So instead of looking at that as a punishment, that is the very purpose of this thing. Having a course is not me just passing you. It's actually you attaining knowledge. And now I basically lock the door and throw away the key and say, now you need to solve it. You cannot do it in any other way. You have all the incentive in the world now to pay attention, because no one else can help you with it. So that is the reason, and in the end, more students know, more students understand, and when the purpose is of this is clear, of course we get better grades. Then the very purpose of why I do this, and it's been appreciated a lot by like 80% of the students, and then 20% of students, they don't like it. And they don't like it, and usually you find that those who don't like it are those that ended up not paying attention at the very beginning because they procrastinated, or maybe they had a really hard time learning this, and that's also perfectly understandable. But still, then you needed more time, and maybe more time than you had. That is also something that is sad. Sometimes people are really, they want to learn, they love it, they work a lot on it, and still, they have a hard time understanding. It doesn't mean that anyone is stupid or somehow. It just sometimes it seems like you have a ghost inside your head or something like that. You just is committed to making everything confusing for you. And I perfectly understand that. I've been felt that way in courses as well. In fact, I want to just tell you all that the first time I take a programming course, I did not only fail, I actually, skipped that course. It's because, not because I had a hard time programming, I was just not able to understand the things, at that time. The teacher I had tried to teach me in a way, and I tried to follow exactly that way instead of trying to find my own. And when I did that, I just couldn't understand. And I should have done it differently. I should have said, okay, teacher's trying to teach me around this subject. Now I need to find my way of learning it. I didn't do so, so I was kind of stuck, and then I failed. And when I understood programming, I was like, oh, God, this is easy. But that is not what I felt before. I thought I was like, oh, this is really hard. This is not for me. Everyone is so much smarter, and so on forth. And it's not a good feeling. But usually it just is, when you unlock the possibility of being able to, for example, run a bike or swim or something, when it's there, it seems obvious. But before it's there, it seems extremely impossible. So, with that said, I think most of you following around this can just feel comfortable leaning back and taking on the next step of the course, which you should find by just following the instructions in this course handbook laid out for you. Thank you very much.